Hello, good evening, everyone, and yeah, welcome to the Philippine.net Users Group online dev sessions. I hope you're having a good evening. My name is John Limhap. I am the community manager for the Philippine.net Users Group, and also a principal developer for a company called PageUp. And yeah, tonight we're going to talk about a very hot topic, especially since I think we're getting news that .NET 6 is going to come out soon. And with it, we will have the latest installment to this, everybody's favorite language in the .NET world, which is C Sharp. Um, but before we go to that, I'd like to make this unfortunate announcement because yesterday we had received news, some sad news. So we'd like to dedicate this episode to Jessica Justine Militar, who we lovingly call by her friends as Aika. She had passed away yesterday, succumbing to lymphoma, basically, so cancer, and it's sad news for the community, for the Microsoft community in particular, in the Philippines, especially those in the Biz Apps and Power BI community. So we'd like to offer to I'd like to ask everyone to offer her a moment of silence, moment of prayer, for eternal repose. And for those people who can donate towards helping her family recoup their medical and funeral expenses. I had posted a link in PHINUG's Twitter account, and there's a GoFundMe page there for Jessica's family. So a sad note for an otherwise what could have otherwise been a great episode, but yeah, or rather happy episodes, because it'd be great. But yeah, we condole with everybody's loss on this, and especially in the Microsoft BizApps community, especially in the Philippines. All right. Um, Before we proceed to our main topic, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank a few of the organizations, the people that had been helping us with this live stream. So of course, there's my own workplace page up. They had been supporting me in continuing to do this, and sometimes even letting me do some of organizing this as part of my work. Of course, PageUp is also looking for great talent in Manila. So please reach out if you're interested in learning some of our openings, or please visit that link at the bottom, careers at pageuppeople.com. All right, another organization we'd like to thank is Data Chain Consulting. So we will have some prizes later on. Unfortunately, for our foreign attendees, this would be only for our Philippine attendees. But yeah, um, I'll tell you a little bit about what you can win later, when Bryan is done with his talk. And then last but not the least, of course, the .NET Foundation. The .NET Foundation um, is the umbrella organization of .NET user groups around the world, and they had been helping us out, providing us with the ability to do this live stream. So thank you to them. And if you'd like to see other .NET UGs and their meetups online, or you would like to volunteer, please visit the .NETFoundation.org website, and look for the link to volunteer. Also, please look for them in meetup.com under .NET, the .NET Virtual User Group, so that you would also have you'll get updated and invited to the different UG events around the world, not just from the Philippines. Okay, and then excuse me, not last but not the least, um, pretty sure a lot of you have visited our meetup.com link, or some may have come here via the .NET Virtual User Group. So, uh, um, yeah, take a chance to follow us in the different social media platforms. The newest one being in LinkedIn. Um, please join us in these platforms so that you get the latest for invites, especially for our events. And yeah, we booked all the way to the end of the year, so there's a few more events for 2021 that are in store for everyone. All right. So yeah, that's it for our announcements. Let's get on with our event. So just to introduce our speaker, who's not yet in cam. Brian, are you there? Yeah, there you go. All right. So to talk to us about what's.net, he's a Microsoft MVP for developer technologies. He's also a country manager for Sam Consulting. And yeah, and he organizes the Xamarin and mobile.net developers Philippines
Developers
group.
Philippines.
Yes. Please welcome Mr. Brian Anthony Garcia. So I'll let you take it away, Brian.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. All right. So let me just share my screen. There we go. So good evening, everyone. So again, I am Brian Anthony Garcia. I am a Microsoft MVP for Developer Technologies, and tonight I'm going to talk about something that is pretty new. Actually, it is very new that it has yet to be in really a release candidate. So I'm going to talk about some of the newest features that I loved in the .NET 6 preview. So it's a general topic. So I'll be talking about C Sharp 10, ASP.NET Core, and MAUI. So it's going to be a mix of everything. This also includes some of the changes in Visual Studio 2022 that are related to the .NET 6 updates. Again, these are just some of the things that I like and I think you would enjoy, but it's not the entirety of it. So there are definitely lots more that are a lot of features that are I will not be discussing. But you can always check out the Microsoft announcements for that. Also, take note that this is not yet on the release candidate, but this already has all of the latest and the final preview of the .NET 6, which is the preview 7. So without further ado, let me show you some of the awesome things that are in .NET 6. So just in case some of you guys might not be familiar with .NET, so .NET, as we all know, is a free cross-platform open source development platform. So it's used for lots of or different types of applications. So personally, I've been using it ever since I was in college, and a lot of things have changed, and I've seen a lot of changes along the way for those for like 7 8 years, and it just continues to improve. So as mentioned earlier, it is a cross platform. It is a platform where you can almost build anything or build almost everything, anything. You can build applications for many operating systems and devices. With .NET 6, you can use multiple languages, um, editors, libraries, which you can use for to develop desktop applications, web applications, cloud, mobile, gaming, IoT, and AI. It also provides you some of the productivity tools, to build feature-rich applications for any device and with great performance. So I'm not really gonna talk about the high-level comparison of .NET 5 and 6. You can, again, as mentioned, there is always the Microsoft Docs for that, and you have YouTube announcements or Microsoft announcements on YouTube and Channel 9. So I'm just here to demo some of the things that I really like. And again, I feel like it's gonna be impactful. So to give you a summary of the things that are main features that are in .NET 6. First of all, you can now simplify your C sharp code, and you can now write less code with C sharp 10. You can also use .NET MAUI, which is the evolution of Xamarin. Lots of things have changed, mainly on the organization of files, and you have now the MVU or the model view of update pattern, and also it allows you to use Blazor to create your own mobile application. So .NET MAUI Blazor integration. Um, Also, oh, sorry. Let me just go back to that. So Blazor is something that I will not discuss thoroughly, or well, I'll be mentioning Blazor later regarding the .NET MAUI support, but I'm not gonna talk about the Blazor codes or Blazor specifically because I don't have enough experience yet to talk about it. But the other thing that I want to talk about is about ASP.NET Core, which is the minimal web APIs, which is one of the biggest changes as well. And I'm going to show you a demo on how you can actually write a real world application, a real world API in just a few lines of code in just one file. So yeah, there's a lot more, but those are the few things that I think would mainly discuss tonight. But before we talk about .NET 6, let's just talk about how you can modernize your current .NET solution or application or project from, let's say, .NET 4 framework 4.7, or even back in 4.5, or .NET 2.0 up to .NET 5. So this is not for .NET 6 yet. It's only up to .NET 5, but it's much easier to upgrade from .NET 5 to .NET 6 now, compared to .NET Framework 4.x to .NET 5. So this would definitely be helpful. Definitely makes it easier for you to migrate from an old code base or an old version up to the latest one, which is the latest one is the .NET 5. .NET 6 is yet to be released. So anyway, normally it would take you a while to try and figure out by yourself what you need to do, or what you need to upgrade, what you need to remove, based on based on the compiler errors, and maybe on the runtime errors, and whatever Visual Studio is telling you to do. But with the help of .NET Upgrade Assistant, you'll be given step-by-step process on how you can upgrade your old code base from an old version up to .NET 5. And not only that, it's not just giving you these steps, it's actually automating it on some of them. So I'm going to show you a demo. So let me just, where is it? Looking for it. There we go. So this is a .NET Upgrade Assistant. So what it does, it allows you to upgrade a specific project or a specific solution from its current version, .NET version, up to the latest .NET 5. And what you need to do is, first of all, you need to have Visual Studio 2019 or later. And you need to download the .NET SDK. So you'd have the .NET command. And you'll be able to use a .NET command. And the next one is you need to install the .NET Upgrade Assistant. So .NET space tool space install space -G, and then Upgrade Assistant. And once you've installed it, you can now run upgrades. And to do that, you can just type in upgrade-assistant space upgrade, and then the path of the solution or the CS project. So to demo this, I have here I've actually downloaded this already, the signalr chat, which is on my GitHub. There we go. So this was created back in 2019. I did a demo about signalr chat 2 years ago, and obviously this definitely might have been created back in or back when we were using .NET 2.0, I guess. So it's .NET Core App 2.1. So it's way back. So definitely this is something that we can upgrade using the .NET Upgrade Assistant. So let me just run something. So I already have it on my file, or I've already downloaded it. And what I can do now is to run this upgrade dash assistant space upgrade space signal or chat or whatever the path is. So it's gonna be you're just gonna run this, press enter, and what it will do is it will try to run everything. Um, Rather, it will process the whole project, check what needs to be upgraded, what needs to be removed, what needs to be changed. So basically, it's just gonna do its thing. Might take a while. There we go. So now we get a step-by-step procedure on how we can actually update this project to .NET 5. So first of all, it requires us to back up the project. It's a good thing to back up the project. You can now convert the project file to SDK file style, and then clean up the NuGet packages, update TFM and NuGet packages, and from 6 to 9, these are something that you would have to manually do. So changing the source code and all these things. But from 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, we can actually run this automatically by just applying the next step. So it's providing us a path on where we can actually store the backup, and it's already backing it up. And then we can do the next few things. So it's doing the next few things now, and it's doing it automatically. It's not something that we have to do ourselves, which is pretty nice. So right now, I think this is it. Yep. Let's just see where it is now. So I believe that by this time, it should have upgraded the version from 2.1 or not yet. So I guess we have finished everything. Maybe I think on this part, probably. So let's just apply the next few steps. But anyway, this might take a while. But the idea here is that you can now use the .NET Upgrade Assistant to upgrade your existing or your old .NET code base into the latest version with ease, basically. So I'm not gonna finish all of this, but just to show you, I believe that right here, we already have this .NET Upgrade Assistant here because we are running it. Open this. It not be updated still, or maybe it is. So let's just try and check it again. So it's now .NET 5. So it's also added some package references that is needed to for the .NET Upgrade assistant to run, and now it's upgraded to .NET Target Framework which is .NET 5.0. So the thing about this is that, of course, when we try to run it, definitely there would be errors, or maybe not. But for this example, there would be, because we've yet to do the rest. There are still some code changes that it requires us to do, but that's something that I will not be demoing right now. But just showing you how easy it is now to upgrade something. So now let's go back to our slides. So that's the .NET Upgrade Assistant, pretty helpful. Now let's go to our actual demo, which is the C# 10 and Visual Studio 2022. Now for this one, there are just there are more new features than just these things, but these are some of the again some of the features that I think would impact your development a lot. So first of all, the first one is the new console app template. Before, maybe I can just show it to you on the demo. Apart from that, you have the global usings, which sounds how it actually is, nullable project property, and the file namespace or the file scope namespace. So let's go to Visual Studio actually. So this is Visual Studio 2022. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a console app just to run the demos. That's console app. Press next and make sure that we are picking the .NET 6 preview. We have the current, which is 5, but let's create a .NET 6 demo. So it's just taking a while because actually I have tons of Visual Studios open right now for the demo, for a quick demo later. But basically, what I want to show you now is that this console project only has one line of code. So where is it? So this, by the way, Visual Studio 2022 is quite different, and it already has this template, which is the new console app template. Now, if we try to open this template, if it loads, here we go. You can now see that it only has one line of code compared to before, which has its, of course, the usings, the namespace, the class of the program class, and then uh, the main method. That's the usual how you see console applications for .NET. But now we can only see one line of code. So if you remove the spaces and the comment at the top, it's basically just a one line of code, and it will still run as expected. It will still display the hello world message on the console. And what happened basically? So basically, this is a top level statement. That means that the compiler generates the namespace, the class, the method elements for you, or for the main program, and so you can now only see this line of code. Um, so imagine that there's still, or it's still inside the main method, but you're now just seeing the lines within the main method. Um, of course, this is only available on .NET 6, and actually, there are a few more things that I want to show you. So well, I'm probably not going to change it, but if I change this to .NET 5, this would not uh, immediately not work. So let's see. Oh, well, maybe it does actually. There we go. Yeah, it's just loading for a very long time, but basically .NET 5 doesn't have this feature yet, but .NET 6, we need to change this to .NET 6. One thing that you would notice as well is this nullable property here. So I'll show it to you later on how it works. But basically, if you enable this, you're basically saying that you should give annotations or information to each of the properties that they need to be nullable. Basically they need to be nullable for you to to handle it a lot better. So let's say that if I want to add a new line, so var num 5 plus 3, and just to test that it still works. and obviously it would still work. So what I want to try now is to create a new file, because right now you'd notice, by the way, that it doesn't have the usings. So why does it not have usings? And how does it work without usings? So basically, there's this thing called implicit usings, that for these specific files, and later on there will actually be another one for ASP.NET, that the default usings will now be added automatically or automatically without us adding it, or without it being displayed at the top. So again, you can still have the previous setup, which has all those things: the usings, the namespace, and the class, program, and then the main method. But basically, they made it a lot easier for us. They cleaned it up just for us to just continuously test out console applications and just focus on the code, instead of seeing all those unnecessary codes. Though it's not unnecessary 100%, but if we just want to try out something, it's kind of unnecessary. Uh, so yeah, there's something that I ran, 5 plus 3 console write line uh, equals 8. So now what I want to do is create um, a new model. So I'm just gonna add it here. So I'm gonna add two models actually. So I'm just gonna remove this. There will be two models: the main class, or rather the person class and the car class. So what I want to do is remove this here and add it on another file. So let's say this is a person file in CS. And well, as you may see here, it's actually added already. These usings. If I remove this, it would still work, because again, there are already implicit usings. So maybe those things are some parts of the code that they need to fix. Maybe they just need to remove those in the future. But I do not need it anymore, because those are the default ones, which are automatically added on each file. Um, and as you may notice here, this is where I was when I was talking about the nullable property. We are wondering what is this for. So basically, it gives us information on what we can do for these properties. And it says here that non-nullable property first name must contain a non-null value. So need daw natin siyang, or rather, we need to declare it as a nullable property. To do that, we just need to add a question mark at the end um, of the data type, and it will remove the error, or rather the warning, not warning, the annotation. So we can add it on all of them, and you can actually change this to disable if you want. If you don't want to see it, and it will not be seen for these two anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan, we do have some questions about that. I think
Oh yes, sir.
one of our participants actually pointed out it has a little bit property there, been there since .NET 5, or is it now full defined with extra checks? I do believe that nullable had been there since it's not, it's C#9 or C#8 even,
Oh, is
but
it, sir?
yeah, yeah, it has been, but yeah, I guess it's one of those things that hasn't really been used much. It was controversial at the time that
Mm.
it came out. Yeah.
I,
So
I I do believe that there is this nullable.
yeah.
Well, they allowed it. They allow the reference types to be nullable now, I believe. But is this specific property here? Is this
Mhm.
from C#9?
Yeah, and from what I remember, I think in the past it was a per class something to
Oh,
define. I'm not. I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look for the reference for that. But yeah,
actually, I
interesting
might
question.
have been incorrect. I was looking at this before and I thought that it was something new, and
Mhm.
that's the reason why I added it. So it might not be new, but thank you for the correction. But I will have to take a look because this is something that is new for me. I have not tried
Yeah,
it before.
yeah. Actually,
So
there's so many changes in the C sharp language that it's hard to keep up. There are other there's just a few other questions that I want to hear, like with regards to the, I believe that's the top level. Is that the top level statements?
yeah,
That
so right
were
here,
one. So the question by Daiki here was that, what if I want to put variables into it, like startup arguments?
well, yeah, you can actually still do it. You know,
Do
like for
do
example,
they have
uh,
to use the do they have to make the method declaration explicit in those cases?
mm, you know what? Thinking about it now, hmm. Actually, I feel like at that point, maybe that's the time when you have to go back to to the previous setup, which is
To the old
to the old setup, which is the which has the all the methods, a main method setup. So this might not be something that is that can be used on that kind of if you want to add methods, things like that. Because I think just like a couple minutes ago, I added this class, or rather, yeah, this
yeah, in the
model
same place,
in
right?
the same place, and it produces errors. Meaning, I feel like if we added methods, which I personally haven't tried actually, I was just amused with how this looks like. It's a lot easier to get started now. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't think that would work. But definitely, you can create variables here, like what I
I
did
get,
earlier. But it's kind of different to create methods, I believe.
yeah,
So
what I think is the one great place that this would be really useful in is Azure functions. If you have something
mm,
so short, right, and you
yeah.
didn't want all the of the boilerplate, it would really shorten your code. So once I see this in an Azure function as a top level thing,
Mm.
yeah,
Yes, I
that's the
agree.
best case to use it for. All right,
Yeah.
we have a ton more questions, but I'd like to reserve them for later or for after the talk. So for the audience, please keep going and keep on asking your questions. We'll get back to them after Brian is done with his demo.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Sir John. All right. I think I'll continue with the next few things that I want to demo. So we've added these files now here on our or rather this file, this person.cs file, which has two classes within it. I know this is not ideal. I should have added, maybe I should just create a separate one for the car uh, model, so our car class maybe. Here we go. So normally, if we want to use these models in a file, we'd have to use or to add using at the top using um, well, I believe they're in the same namespace anyway. So let's just say that they're on a different namespace, model namespace. So now, in order for me to use that, for example, if I want to add a person, new person, it wouldn't be detected, because I don't have any reference to that model or to that class. So I need to add using model. Was it models or model? Yep, oh, person. So now I can use or create a person class or a person model or person object based on that model, and also for a variable, let's say This one, first name, Bryan, last name, Garcia. I can just, I can just do this. And maybe I can add a car for this one, new car, and it can have its make, and etc. So let's not continue, let's not spend much time on that. But what I want to say is like, for example, this model, this using right here, if you're in a real world situation, or if you're developing a real world application, the models might be something that you would be using on different parts of your application, on different files. So it might be kind of like repetitive to just to add it all the time. So what you can do now is, instead of adding this using at the top, you can have a file, say add a new class, say let's name it imports. So you might know where I'm going with this one now, but you can add this using model and type global at the beginning, and it will now be added globally, or it will now be referenced globally. So if you create new files, it will automatically understand that you have this model class, or rather, yeah, the model namespace, which has these classes within it, and you can now just continuously call them on different files, which is pretty amazing. I feel like this is something that might be used by most development teams, and I think this would having one imports file would be a lot more, how do I say this, cleaner than seeing all those unused namespace at the top, and or name unused usings, and I don't think they are really should really be. They don't belong at the top. Actually, I feel like they should have their own file. And what I feel like this is one solution to do it. Um, Now, there's also one more thing that I want to show. This is something that might not be as useful as that global usings. But now, if you want to provide, or want to say that, or give a namespace to a file, you can always do this. This is how we normally do it. But now, instead of doing this, you can now just add a semicolon at the end of the namespace, and it will still be part, or it will basically say that, okay, all of the things, or all of the classes, everything that is under or within this file will be under the namespace model. So I can add the car here, maybe remove this for now, and then can just add it here, and it will still belong underneath the model namespace. So if I go back here, it would still be part of it. It would still recognize both of these classes. So yeah, that is basically some of the new things on C Sharp. Definitely, there are a lot more that I'm not gonna demo right now. Those are pretty specific to, let's say, record types, the deconstruction, uh, deconstructed assignment and declaration. That is something that's also new, but I'm not going to talk about it for now. Maybe on a separate topic. Again, this is kind of like a general discussion of .NET 6. So let's just go and discuss the next topic, which is the minimal APIs. This one is about ASP.NET Core templates or ASP.NET Core in general. So let's say if you want to set up a basic or simple API. Now, this is a pretty cool or simple way to set up that API. And not only that, it also allows you to easily understand how things work, because it gives you just such few lines, and you can easily understand that, okay, this is how you need to make it work. And maybe just to show you a side-to-side comparison on how it looks like before and how you would do it with .NET 6, with help of minimal APIs. So again, pretty cool and simple way to set up your API. So let's go to Visual Studio again. So give me a second, actually. Where is it? Here we go. So previously, this is how you would have to, this is a blank or an empty ASP.NET Core application. This is back in .NET 5 or the current .NET 5 and even in the previous. You would have a program.cs that has this the main method with the creation of the host builder, and then it's calling the another default builder and then configuring it and basically saying that you should use the startup called startup class, or the startup class. Basically, you're calling startup class, and you have here the configuration for the startup. You can configure services, and you can add whatever you need. Like for example, for this, if for example I'm developing it currently, I can show developer exception pages, your routing, and now right here we have an endpoint, which points to the blank or the very base endpoint, and it shows the hello world text. So that's how it currently works on the .NET 5. Now it's quite different from the .NET 6 on how an empty ASP.NET Core application would be set up. So this is how it looks like now. So give me a second. I'm looking for it. There we go. So this is how it looks like now. We don't have the startup.cs anymore. We only have the program. So remember, this also again a top level statement. You're not seeing the main method anymore. You're not seeing namespaces. You're not seeing the usings. By the way, regards to the usings, they're also implicitly or they're also implicit already. So the default usings that are added on ASP.NET Core applications, they're not shown anymore, but they're definitely there. So that is something that is not yet, or it doesn't have a property yet on the project file. But if we change this again to .NET 5, it would not work. So I'm not going to demo it again, but that is basically what's going to happen. But they're planning to add something. They're planning to add a property named implicit usings, because right now this is your basis on if it's going to work, or if you don't have to add those default usings. This is how it's just need to change this to .NET 5. But in the future they will be adding this property, which is implicit usings, and you can enable it or disable it, meaning those default usings might not be uh, should be explicitly added on the files. So this is something that they will be adding in the future. Another thing is that, let's say you want to add another implicit using, because all we had now is or the default ones. You can also add an implicit using by adding an item group, and you can include a using specifically right here, as an example, the Microsoft.asp.NET Core.mvc. So you can add a NuGet package if you want. You can add um, a project reference if you want. So you can add a using or an implicit using, and you don't have to reference it to different files. So it works kind of like the same as the global usings, but it's called differently. So let me remove this for now and go back to the program.cs. So if you think about it, if you don't have this, this part right here, you'd only have 8 lines of code. If you remove the spaces, 4 lines of code. But this already is does the same thing as our previous as our the previous the .NET 5 and even previous ASP.NET Core template. So it's much cleaner now. It's much easier to read. It would be a lot understandable now that if you try to go to this endpoint, to the base endpoint, you'll get a hello world response. So I'm not gonna run it for now, but it's gonna work as exactly the same. So again, this is the empty an empty API demo. You might it might look familiar now as if you're a JavaScript developer. If you've seen Express JS before, it's kind of like the same as this one. But in reality, this has been existing even before. It's just that it's not or rather it's existing on the .NET 5.0 and below. It's just that it's not set up like this, but you can definitely do it even before. But apart from that, they've also followed something from this one. It's called the Feather HTTP. So it's the foundation of how they set this up. It was introduced back in again C#9, but yeah, it's back in .NET 5 as well. So it's quite different from. It's something that you need to set up through GitHub, I believe. They have a GitHub page for the Feather HTTP to do such thing as this, or do something similar to this. But this is now what they adapted, and I think from .NET, yeah, from .NET 6 is something that you will get if you want to set up an empty ASP.NET Core application. So this is basically an anonymous lambda returning a string. So if you run this, it might take a while. But basically, if you try to access this endpoint, we'll just get the hello world. Actually, I might skip this demo here. Instead, I'm going to show you how it would look like if we had set up something. We have set up a database, and we are actually doing something or some transactions, by adding or reading and writing into that database. So let me bring that up now. So it's minimal API playground. I did not make this. This also open source created by someone from Microsoft. But imagine if you want to, if you have an idea where you want to kind of like set up your database or rather retrieve data, add data inside your database. You want to create an API for that. It's as quick as this, or as easy as this. If you look at it, it's pretty basic. It's actually, personally for me, it's a bit clogged. This is not something that I would prefer, but definitely this can be cleaned up. I'm not a fan of this personally. That you have all of these on the lambda. Maybe we can put or create a local function, and you can call them inside that, or you can call that function instead. So they would be separated from here. Maybe if you have a few more lines of code, maybe that's something that you will also prefer. But again, you can do that. So like for example, if I add a local function, I can actually remove this and just call the function here. You can do this. So it's just that maybe for some of you guys this might look like a bit dirty. I don't know. Maybe I guess it depends on who would write the code. But basically, this is just 100 lines of code, and you already have set up your whole what was it again? Trying to remember, but it's a read, write, delete, and update thingy. You already have it
Yeah,
set up.
you already have your CRUD
And
operations, I guess.
sorry, sir.
The CRUD
Yeah, the
operations.
CRUD. Yeah, CRUD.
There
Sorry, I was thinking
you
about it,
go.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just
but
pop in and out.
yeah, so you would also notice that I also added Swagger here. So I've added the Swagger, so you can easily look at the or it might be easier on the eyes to look at the our API documentation. As you may see here, this is still the previous one, the blank or the base endpoint, and we have this hello endpoint here. But as you may notice, we can now return an anonymous type, meaning we can add anything with inside of it. Maybe this one will have another property which is world, and that it returns hello, something like that. So you can add whatever properties you want, and would be returned um, by this endpoint. So I'm gonna run it now. So while we're discussing it, it will already run or it will already build. But as you may notice here, I'm also calling out a uh, a service, which is basically this what you call this a dependency. We can set up dependency injections here. Um, what we set up here is basically we're calling out an SQLite connection and passing in the connection string coming from this variable. So we have a to-dos.database here. Sorry, it's loading. But basically, as easy as this, we've already set up a CRUD API. So it's loading. Then I think lost Postman. Yep, very close Postman. But what I want to do is to test them out now. Just waiting for it to load. I'm just gonna do a quick test because we're running out of time, and there's still one more that I want to show, which is Maui. So I'm just gonna show a quick demo of how this works. It's basically it works as like a normal web application. I should have run it without debugging, but yeah, let me just there we go. So now we have this right here, this API are running. And of course, this would return the hello world. There we go. And if you, how was it again? Was it hello? There we go. We were now getting this JSON coming from this hello endpoint. There are a couple more. We can get the to-dos if we want to, and this has its data coming from the database, of course. So right here. So as easy as this, you can now set up an API, a few lines of code. If you don't count all of these, because we're not using all of them, it would pretty much be like about 20 lines of code or 30 lines of code. You can set up uh, this API with connected to a database. So it's pretty easy, pretty easy to use. And again, it's gonna come on November 2021, supposedly. So you can now test this out if you want to. So it's gonna stop this from running and go back to my slides. And we're gonna end with the .NET MAUI or a .NET multi-platform app UI. So Xamarin Forms has been with us for nearly 7-8 years, I believe. So it's as kind of like played a crucial role on the cross development application development for Microsoft, and definitely has helped a lot of companies, a lot of developers, professionals. As like here in our company, we use Xamarin a lot, and I believe that it is already time to say goodbye from or say goodbye to Xamarin Forms, and let's welcome Maui. So Maui, or multi-platform application or app UI, uh, could definitely help us even more. The thing about the thing about Maui is that it's still kind of like the same as Xamarin. So again, that's the reason why it's just an evolution. It's not a completely different from what we are using or what we are doing with Xamarin right now. So with .NET Maui, we're still gonna write our code in a single project. We're still gonna write the UI, the back end, or maybe it depends on how you would set it up. But mainly, you can, if you want to be minimal, you would have to you can write it all on one project, and that's still the same with the .NET Maui. The thing about it is that it's gonna provide you features that are very different with regards to the structure, with regards to how you add fonts, how you add images, which is usually um, a pain for developers. You know, you have to add the images on each platform. So, for example, if you have an image that you want to display on uh, on the screen of your of a mobile phone, you would have to add it on the project, on the Android project. You'd have to add it on the iOS project. So you have to add a lot of images, you know, and that would make your project a lot heavier, you know. But apart from that, I'm gonna show you how you can set up Maui. You can create a project with Maui, show you the new structure as what I was talking about earlier, hot reload support, and the .NET Maui Blazor demo. So I'm not really gonna go through for a very long time on Maui, but again, this just to show you what we have currently uh, with Maui. So let me just drag it now. So this is the new Maui application. Sorry, my machine's a bit slow because it has lots of Visual Studios opened. We just close some of them. But yeah, this is how it looks like now. So if you've been a Xamarin developer before, you would already see the difference. So if you're not a Xamarin developer, basically the difference would be you're now seeing a single project. Now, don't think about this WinUI yet. This is something that is for the desktop, by the way. They're still trying to figure out how they can how can they add it within that single project. But this will be removed in the future. So that means that you will have a single project now. Before you have like 4 projects or 3 projects. Uh, where you have the class library, or rather a class wherein, or rather a project wherein you write all of the codes for both or for different platforms, and you have projects for different platforms, for a project for Android and a project for iOS. And if you have UWP support, then you'll have another project for that. But now you have a single project, and within that project, you will have a platforms folder which has the files needed to run it on Android, iOS, and on Mac. And ideally would be UWP as well. So it's just a bit different because of that, because we now have this platforms folder here. But additionally, you also have this resource. This is what I was talking about earlier when I talked about fonts and images having to be included on different parts or on all platforms. So if you have a new font, it should be added on Android, on the Android project, and on the iOS project. This time, you'll have to store it in just one project and in one folder. So you just have to add it within the resources. If you have new images and you have fonts, different fonts, it's as easy as this. Um, how about the Android manifest and the iOS info plist or entitlements plist? They would still have to be separated. Unfortunately, this is something that is required by Apple to have a specific or a particular info plist for iOS. So they couldn't really add it in a single file anymore. So we'll have to have this setup. Um, so yeah, that is for the structure. Now let's go on the startup.cs. So on the startup.cs, you'd see here that we can actually configure fonts here. So first of all, you have this configure um, a method which calls the use Maui app. Because we're using a Maui app. Previously, you have the Xamarin.forms.init, but now it's use Maui app. You have the configure. You can configure fonts here if you want to add fonts. So we have this font here, which is Open Sans, and then it's basically calling the app. So the app, as we all know, it's still the same as the Xamarin Forms setup. So we have the app. So if it loads, yep, we have the sorry, it's slow. But ideally, if you're a Xamarin developer, you'd still have this app that's SAML.ts, which has the which you basically can say which file or which page should be your main page or your start page. So right here, we're saying that main page is equals to the new main page or a new an instance of main page, which is this one right here. So this is all familiar now. If you're this should be familiar now if you're a Xamarin developer before, and this is how it's gonna look like actually. So let me show you my. I'm not gonna run this, but I already have it running on my phone. So if you debug this, if you run this, this is how it's gonna look like. So again, this is just a demo of the template of Xamarin Forms. So still works as expected, you know. So you have this, and you have a new splash screen from .NET. Before it was just a blank with this a blank background with Xamarin logo in the middle. But since we're now Maui, so you don't see that anymore. But anyway, this is the basic template for Xamarin Forms. So yeah, that's how it's gonna look like for the .NET MAUI. Again, it's still gonna be the same as the Xamarin Forms. You know, when it comes to creating your UI, when it comes to maybe if you set up MVVM, it's still gonna be the same. It's just that you now have this different structure that makes it easier for you to add images and files and all those things. So now, if you want to download Maui, by the way, you don't need to have Visual Studio. You can actually use that on or run it on or use just Visual Studio Code. Just make sure that you run Maui check first to make sure that you are running or you have the workloads that you need. So with Maui dash check, it will allow you to it will allow .NET Maui to check if you have all of the files or all of the workloads that you need to run and develop a Maui application. Now, in order for you to get this Maui check, you need to .NET to install it through I'm gonna show it to you later. But ideally, for me, I already have all of them set up. Already, all of them have all the workloads needed. set up on my machine, so I don't have to add it anymore. So it's gonna take a while. There we go. Should have worked. It should show something that everything's complete. But yeah, I already have all of them. In order for you to run the Maui dash check, you need to download this uh, .NET tool. Download this tool. Install -g redth.net.maui.check, and you can now run the Maui check. If you want to install
can you
workloads
zoom that
manually,
in,
you can run .NET
Brian?
workload. Oh, yes.
Can you zoom that in a bit so that we can see it?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the tool that you were.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you, Sir John. Anyway, this is how you can see the .NET workload list. As you can see, I already have all of them set up or added or installed. So I have the Android, I have the iOS, the Mac Catalyst for the Mac OS, Maui, which is the main workload for Maui, and then all of the other workloads that I need. Again, what you need to do is to type in uh, or to have this um, installed, this tool installed, the redth.net.maui.check, and you will now be able to run Maui check. Which, when you run this, uh, this will install everything that you need to uh, to develop and run a Maui application on your Visual Studio Code or on your Visual Studio. So again, this will take a while, so I will not. Let's just skip this. So this is basically Maui. So now there's also one thing. There's one last thing that I want to show you, which is the Blazor and .NET Maui integration, or kind of like, if you are a web developer and you are familiar with Blazor, and you're not familiar with Xamarin, you're not familiar with any mobile development platform, this is something that is for you. If you want to migrate your web application that you've done, specifically for web, for browsers, and you want to put it, or if you want to add it on App Store and Play Store and have this mobile application, uh, this is definitely something that you can use. So it is called the again, the Maui .NET Maui Blazor template. And what this does is it allows you uh, to run your Blazor application within Maui. So as you may notice here, you can still see that we're using a Maui application, but on top of it, we're now registering a Blazor Maui web view. So that's right, you're still basically have a mobile app, and you just have a web view inside of it. And it's kind of like how things work even before, but they've made this as a template now. And now if you see it, you have this app.saml.cs here, and it calls the main page, like normally. And if you open the main page at SAML, you see here that we have a Blazor web view, and it's calling the index.html, which is this one right here, the index.razor. Um, should have used a magnifier, but it's almost done anyway. Uh, yep, we have this host page, which is the index.html, which should display this. So this is now a an HTML, or actually a Razor file, which is specifically what we use for Blazor development. Um, and it's basically displaying "Hello world, welcome to your new app." And we have the survey prompt, which is this shared page as well, which displays this. So again, I haven't really used Blazor before, so this is something that is also new for me. So I'm not really gonna discuss any Blazor code, but basically, you know, think about it as something that if you have a web application, if you have Blazor expertise, you can now write mobile applications using Blazor. Apart from that, if you have a Blazor application, a Blazor web application existing, you can now make it a mobile application using Maui. So for a demo, so this is how it's gonna look like. So you have here, this is some web application that is within Maui, a Maui application. Again, it's displayed as like a web view. So if you look at it, the animation doesn't really look like it's a mobile app. It really feels like a web application still. Um, you know, and right here, it really looks like a web application. So again, this is just a template, but depends on how you develop your application, I guess. And that's where you would add these transitions, um, everything that would make it feel like an actual mobile app. So this is basically a hybrid setup for you for Maui or from Maui for you if you're a web developer. Um, and I think apart from that, it would be there's just three things that I think that this would be used. Again, if you have an existing Blazor app, if you are really an expert with Blazor and you just want to create a mobile app using your Blazor expertise, and if you have some, um, if maybe Blazor has these functionalities or features that you want to add into your Maui application. Those are, I think, would make it would be the best case scenario if you want to develop an app, a mobile app using Blazor. So that is basically my demo for the Blazor. I think that's all. So going back to my slides, so that is my final demo. So if you want to learn more about these, I know I've only shown a few of them, and these are just high-level demos. You can definitely try them out, or maybe look at some of the Microsoft's um, demos as well on Channel 9. They have it on, if you want to learn Maui even more, they have it on the Xamarin show. They have yet to update it to the Maui show, maybe in the future. But definitely there are lots more of resources out there where you can see them being dissect dissected thoroughly. But again, this one is just to give you an idea of what are the latest features, functionalities, and basically what's new within the .NET 6 or anything .NET 6 related. So yeah, try again. Also try Visual Studio 2022 now. There are lots of good things in there. But yeah, I think that is all. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something. And if you have questions, let me know.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Brian. I think we actually have a lot of questions that are already
Yeah.
in the chat. But before we start that, I'd still encourage everyone. Well, particularly our viewers from the Philippines, to ask their questions, because I think we have a few giveaways. Unfortunately, we cannot send them over outside the Philippines, but yeah, we have a few uh, giveaways for those who ask really good questions, and uh, um, I'll let Brian decide on who will get those prizes later. Okay, we will pick three lucky winners, I think, for those for those prizes. All right, let me just go back to some of the questions that had been that I've paused asking about. Even that in the part where you were still talking about C sharp 10 and .NET 6. Okay, so I think we stopped at the point where we were talking about the top level statements and the and the nullables, right? So there were a few questions around what if I wanted to create methods that had been answered by some of our commenters. Thank you very much. Basically, if yeah,
That's
basically
nice. Yeah.
yeah, if the there was the question about what if I wanted to create methods, and the answer to that had been that if you just wanted to put it in Vaclav, is that the right pronunciation? Yeah, just like the methodology,
Mm,
usually the compiler recognizes it, and Vaclav also pointed out that while these features had been added in C#8, .NET Core 5 and 6, they were still also gradually porting it over
yeah.
and implementing it in this. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is just how different .NET 6. I mean, the huge change for .NET 6 moving forward is the fact that we've gotten rid of the .NET Core name. We're not making any difference now between the framework that runs in Windows and in other OSs like Linux. You have anything to that add to that, Brian? I might be
Yeah.
missing something. Um,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just asking if you had anything to add about that big change around .NET, about how there's no .NET Core 4 and there's
Oh
no
yeah.
.NET 4 and
It's
there's just
actually
.NET 6. Yeah.
personally, it's I would say it's quite confusing as well. I haven't really heard anything, talk about it before. How sometimes it confused me why they didn't continue. And they just go to from I guess .NET 5 and then .NET 6. Maybe I think my comment to that would be I'm also not sure with with how
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm. All right. That is fair. I do believe that there's a lot of big changes, especially in the way that how things were architected in terms of the compiler. So Roslyn had been, for example, relegated in the past to just
oh
the
yeah.
cloud and Linux and iOS and Android, right?
Mm.
And now they're getting rid of the legacy CLR that's Windows based, basically. So that's one interesting big change. Yeah, all right. Let's just go through some of the other questions. There was a question for, well, Brian, you could actually browse the questions as well
Oh,
in the
let
comment
me.
section of
Here we go.
StreamYard, and look for a question that you'd like to respond to, because there's been a lot of comments going
Yeah,
while you were.
I see questions about Blazor, but then again, I already gave a disclaimer earlier that I haven't really used
Mhm,
Blazor, but it's
mhm.
something that is new with
Yeah, yeah,
migrating or adding including your
yeah,
Maui or your Blazor code into Maui, which is pretty
yeah,
amazing.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly. One thing I would advise
okay,
them is to try and view some of the previous episodes of PHINUG online dev
mm,
sessions. I think it was back in July when we had Kedrid Villena, and I forgot our other speaker. There were two speakers. They were talking about how they used Blazor in their production app, and their product, and they had a pretty heavy loaded app that was enterprisey, and they explained the approach that they took, because you could actually take several there are two main options in Blazor: server side and client side, so you can actually choose. All right, let's move on
And I
to
think I see a question, but I think I've answered it on on my demo earlier, which is regarding if Maui is or Maui with Blazor is a native or hybrid.
Mhm,
It is actually hybrid, and it's just again it's just a Maui application, a native application, a native Maui application with a web view inside of it, which
mhm,
shows or which basically visualize or shows the Blazor application, Blazor web application. So yes, it is a hybrid application.
mhm.
Definitely, would mean that there it would be a lot better if you create a native application using Maui. Definitely, a lot more support when it comes to features or capabilities of a mobile application. Um, yeah, you're right. Yep, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like Ionic with WebView. It's not something that I would be using personally, but if you are again, if you have a web application that is already is existing and is made with Blazor, why would you or maybe what you would also think about why would you spend time to develop another mobile application when you can just import whatever you have on your Blazor web application into a Maui using this Maui Blazor template. So that is one thing that I think where it would really work. But when it comes to performance, I would still go with the native build, a native Maui application, and that's always been my, I guess my stance.
Yeah, your go-to. I just realized that we couldn't get the names of the users from Facebook here. That question about Maui with Blazor had been from Joel Paderagao, and the answer about Ionic with WebView is John AC. So thank you very much
Mm.
for those responses. All right. Do we have any other interesting questions here? Um, let me just
Mm.
scroll up. There's a bunch of questions about um, um, how would you add a middleware on a program that's CS for this is for the minimal APIs, and I think
Mm.
that got answered by the demo that you did with which had you know the
Yeah,
startup
all of the
the
mm-hmm.
startup CS stuff. uh, yeah, in
Yeah, that's right.
just in
Mm.
one file. Yeah, in one file. So that's
Yeah,
that
it's one file. I know it. Mhm. Sorry, go ahead.
I just found that interesting that it's all there, but it does
Mm.
it really does look to me that this is all about the Azure as just Azure functions types of things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
simple pocket applications that you just deploy in one thing in one file basically.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's pretty it's also I'm also thinking about where would you actually use it when it comes to let's say if you were developing an enterprise application or an API for an enterprise application. Maybe this is something that you can use to if you want to set up a quick API, I'd say.
Mhm.
um, and then yeah, you're right. So it's for me, it's not something that I would use regularly if I would be developing for an application for an enterprise or for a client, because having everything on one file maybe may not be as
Even
clean as you
crazy,
think.
right?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, but one interesting scenario that I could see this would be using is something that we discussed yesterday in another podcast. So watch out for the Battle of the Clouds.
Mhm. Oh
I
yeah.
guessed I guessed it in Brian's podcast with
Yep.
Michael John Peña, who
With
had been our
Michael.
speaker
Mhm.
last month. And yeah, we were talking about microservices, right? So what I see now, would the I mean, the application that I could see here is for those
Mhm.
tiny, tiny, tiny endpoints that compose, uh, uh, microservices that basically just do small things per function, or per
Mhm.
Azure function, per AWS Lambda, and those would be, you know um, they would I mean, that's perfect for those purposes because they could be deployed one
Mhm.
file. You wouldn't have to worry too much about dependencies and things like that. So
Right.
maybe that's it. Maybe that's the application there. All right, we do have two new questions that came up.
Mhm.
From
Yep.
Andre Abrantes, what's the difference between Mac OS and Mac Catalyst workloads?
So I think if personally I have no experience with Catalyst yet, but this Catalyst is another way where you can I believe you can develop a Mac application. It's for a web application, I think, and actually just reading about it because I was also uh, I was also I'd say interested on how it would work. Basically, if you look at the a Maui application, it doesn't have a Mac OS. A Mac OS. How do I say this? Workload. It does have. You can download the workload, but it doesn't have the project, or you can't really run it on. Sorry, I'm trying to rephrase this. I'm trying to say it properly. So basically, if you look at the dependencies on the Maui, you can only see iOS, Android, and Mac Catalyst. It doesn't have any Mac OS in it. So I think the reason why we had to install the Mac OS workload is for us to get the needed libraries or anything that we need from Mac OS. Um, yeah, so yeah, I think it was already answered by Jeremy. So yeah, so it's actually something that I believe it's not you're not really developing a Mac application for that. It's kind of like something that can be run on an iPad and the on Mac OS. So I haven't really read about Mac Catalyst yet that much, but that is something that will allow you to run your application on a Mac OS. Yep.
All right,
Mhm.
great. That's yeah. Thank you to Jeremy Sinclair for that answer as well. And then I think we only have time for one more question,
Mhm.
really. But I'm not sure how to answer this question because it's
Yeah.
Blazor related.
Uh-huh.
I have a Blazor server side project using .NET 5. Is it possible to migrate it to Maui? Have you
Yes.
tried?
I
Yeah.
haven't, but from what I've heard, you can. So that's what I
Mhm.
was talking about earlier. If you already have some a Blazor application, you can
Existing.
just port it into to Maui. But I can't really answer you how, but it is possible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and interesting here because he did mention that it's a server side project, and for server side projects, I think the application for that in Blazor is that it's using signalr
Mhm.
to actually update the front end UI.
Mhm.
So it would be interesting to see how that is implemented and
Right.
how you would be how the Blazor translates it to,
Right.
signal R over
Uh-huh.
Android or iOS.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
the thing is, it's still a Blazor application. Just again, you're just gonna have, or you're just basically again displaying it into, or how do I say this, uh we're just using a web view to
Mm-hmm.
display the app itself, or the website itself. So again, this will be possible just because it is a hybrid application, and it's not a native one. But if
Mm-hmm.
you develop an application with signal r on Maui, or even in Xamarin Forms, it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I've done one of them before, and it
Okay.
is really working.
All right. All right. I guess there. I guess you will find a way. You will
Yeah,
find a way
yeah.
for
Mm,
to figure it out. All right. Thank you very much to everyone for those questions. Before we go, is there anything that you'd like to impart to our audience, or any events that you'd like?
oh yeah,
I think we have an
yeah.
event on Saturday, right?
There is actually, that's gonna be, by the way, an uh
Mm-hmm.
Azure specific event. So we've had actually three installment of it. So there are, well, initially, or the first one was regarding biz apps, which happened last Saturday. This Saturday, this will be more on app development, and I'm gonna be included in this one. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about Microsoft's, well, this new minimal API, but with a twist. So since again it's gonna be Azure specific, so I'm gonna try and deploy it into an app service, and also add some of the other, well, first of all, security and authentication. So just to show them this new, how you can actually make APIs, but on the simplest way, and add these uh, services, or use these Azure services within it.
Yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
I'm curious about the event. It's entitled Cloud Scuela, which
yeah,
is
it's Cloud
Filipino
Scala.
for
Mm,
cloud school, right? Uh,
mm,
um, would it be in Filipino? Would it
yeah,
be if you're Filipino? Yeah, right. I think we have one of the presenters there.
yes,
Jonah
Jonah. Yeah,
in the audience, so she would also be presenting about I think Azure functions,
yeah,
serverless,
it's serverless.
yeah,
Yep.
serverless on Azure. So I will probably see you on Saturday, or watch you in that event. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in talk about this in Filipino, but
Yeah,
we
I
have
really hope.
we have foreign
Mm,
audience, not right now.
yeah,
Okay.
I hope you can attend on Saturday. You guys listening right now, um, there would be lots of fun stuff that we'll discuss. Unfortunately, it's again in Tagalog, so for the international viewers right now, this
Good.
might not be for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you'll be also giving out a lot of stuff on Saturday, so be sure to be
All
there.
right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Speaking about giving out stuff, now I will need you to help me out here. Choose
Yeah.
three of our attendees that had asked questions. The ones from Facebook, I could actually figure out who they are. So
Mm-hmm.
eh, choose three questions, and then I'll figure out how to reach out to those people.
Uh, Again, we only need Filipino, or we only want Filipino viewers, right?
Yeah. No,
So,
Philippine based. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't send those
and
vouchers
three of them,
outside.
right?
Three of them. Yeah.
Yes. So, seeing names here, only the ones who ask questions, right?
Yeah, and
I think I
I
have.
guess pick out the most interesting questions, or yeah, the ones that challenged you.
Well, I guess the first question would be definitely be from Angelo
Mm-hmm.
Cruz, which was
Mm-hmm.
regarding how we can create methods within the top level statements, because there's something
Okay.
that I haven't really done much of
Uh-huh.
research yet,
Uh-huh.
which caught me off
Uh-huh.
guard actually.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Angelo, for asking it, and thank you for Backlab for answering the request for asking the question. Angelo, thank you for that, and thank you for Backlab for answering this question. Um, I guess the other one would be. Sorry, I'm gonna take a look at the.
Yeah, you could actually go browse the comments in StreamYard so that you can
Yeah,
see it as well.
I guess the other one would be John AC. So
Mm-hmm.
John was asking regarding if it's hybrid or
Oh yeah,
PWA or native. He had a lot of questions regarding that, and then I think he is that is an interesting question.
right,
Um,
right.
can see
Cool.
the rest of the questions actually on my mobile phone,
Okay.
but I guess for the last one, looking at the questions, I'm not really sure if some of them are actually from the Philippines. But let's just
Uh, it's
check.
challenging, right? We
How
don't.
about you? How about you pick the last one,
Uh,
John?
I'll probably go with CJ Bates. CJ had asked a few questions
Oh yeah,
about
right. Yeah,
Blazer. So yeah. So for Angelo, for John AC, and for CJ. I guess for Angelo and for CJ, because they had come from YouTube. There's no way for me to send them a message at the moment.
yeah.
So please reach out to PHINUG at live at gone.ph, and I will give you your prize and your giveaways. And then for John AC, I'll reach out to you via Facebook. I'll message you directly. All right. So our prize for today, though, yeah, had it did come from Data Chain Consulting, from our good friend Michael John Pena, who had been our guest last month, and yeah, was that Angelo, JC, and John AC and CJ
And
will
CJ.
receive, yeah, will receive Shopee vouchers. So yeah, so for some online shopping. All right. Thank you so much to Data Chain and Penny
Yeah.
for those giveaways.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think, yeah, we've run so much over time, but yeah,
Yeah. I'm really
uh,
sorry about that.
no, 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 no. It's okay. It had been an interesting night. We had fun. So thank you very much, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you
Right,
as well, John.
right. All right, cool. So that concludes our event for tonight. Thank you very much for everyone who had watched this episode of the FINUG Online Dev Sessions. I know we extended quite a bit, but I hope that extension had been that you had learned a lot more. So yeah, just keep on following our social media channels, meetup.com, and follow us also on Twitter, on our Facebook group, and follow us on LinkedIn. And you will hear from us very soon about our event for September. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, good night. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat na nanood na itong FINUG Online Dev Sessions. Again, I'm John Lim Hap. Thank you very much and good evening. Bye-bye.